Some people say Charlie Chikezie has a temper. Do you have the temperament to be chairman of World Igbo Congress?
I do. I don't have a temper. I don't have a temper. I maybe what came across in my emphatic presentation a few minutes ago probably will be construed by to be a temper. It is not temper. I'm a very emphatic person. I'm a passionate person. Not necessarily by virtue of my profession as a criminal defense lawyer. I've been a passionate person as far as I can remember. I don't bite my tongue on things that I feel strongly about. And if I offend people sometimes the way I speak, I've been accused of being arrogant. I've been accused of people, some people don't even think that I have a sense of humor. You know, as a matter of fact, I'm one of the most high-priced stand-up comedians out there that you can ever run into if you catch me in the right spot.
In the right mood.
I said this. And what I told, look, I measure 5'7", 5'6", but I sometimes put it at 5'7", you know, just to make believe. I'm a small guy, you know, and this thing is a facade. Because it's a game with a lot of big boys out there. So if I don't wear this facade, they're going to rusticate me. So sometimes I have to wear this front to scare off my detractors. And it has worked for me. So I really don't have any intention of giving it up. But on a serious note, not that what I said is not serious. I don't have a temper. I have very low threshold for stupidity, quite frankly. I have very low threshold for silliness. And when people try to play these games and continue to think that they can get away with it, you know, I run out of sometimes patience. But, you know, as you grow in life, you begin to realize that certain things are, of course, better handled, not necessarily by losing your patience. You especially, Ichi will always tell me that we're in the people management business. So sometimes, you know, when you want to lose your cool, you swallow your saliva and take a sip of water and recalibrate. So I don't have a temper. I don't have a temper. And I do have the temperament to lead in Igbo. And I tell you one thing, Igbo will benefit from my temperament because it's enough of the no-nonsense, enough of the charade. You know, we have gotten a lot of this silliness of people meaning one thing and saying another thing. You're not going to get that from me. You can hate me, you can dislike me, you can do whatever you want to do. That's your business, you know. Just like this issue of peace is concerned, I'm not going to turn around today and tell you that what Joeto and his cohorts did in 2008 by going and re-registering World Igbo Congress and holding themselves out as officers of World Igbo Congress when they are not is right. You know, people have accused me as the Secretary General of World Igbo Congress who should have kept my finger on the franchise tax status of World Igbo Congress and it expired. Look, I tell people I don't take responsibility for that stuff. When an organization has a man like Dr. Joseph Okeke, the founding chairman of World Igbo Congress, as our address for World Igbo Congress records, if I cannot have the benefit of the doubt that a man like Joseph Okeke will protect the access and reputation of World Igbo Congress, then who can? Life has to be about confidence, about trust at some level. If I can deal with you as a brother and trust that you're not going to turn around and shoot me in the back, then we're all finished as a people. So we have a serious problem. We have a serious problem as a people. And all I'm saying is that we're going to have to begin to recognize that. Just what I said earlier. Our unity, our Igbo unity, does not have to be predicated on self-love, but our recognition that we have a common enemy. And that when they come against when they come after each and every one of us, they come after all of us. So that is really what my position is on that.
You know, we have had, and we don't like to keep our guests too long, my brother. And what I would like you to do, if you possibly can, is to talk to Igbo. Talk to your board of directors, those who are actually the people who will be electing you as the next chairman of World Igbo Congress. Convey to them all that you would like to, and take the time to do so.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Chief Obidike. Thank you. Igbo, we need World Igbo Congress. We need everybody. And my brothers that have been told that are also in this race with me, I love you all, regardless of what you hear me say or write about you. I can never betray you. I may be hard on you, but I also tell you, and you all know that I've never asked anybody to do anything that I don't ask myself to do. I hold myself accountable for whatever I have written out there, and I've written quite a couple, and whatever I have said out there. So whenever I come back and hold somebody accountable and say, wow, this is what you said, like a brother who said that it was wrong for World Igbo Congress to endorse a Nigerian president of Igbo extraction, and goes out there and endorses a governor from his Mbisa organization. And when I bring this thing out to say, how can this brother be saying this and saying that? I'm not doing it because I don't love you. I'm just doing it because I think we ought to be realistic to ourselves. And enough of these games. Come September, come Toronto, there will be change of guard in the leadership of World Igbo Congress. I come to you with all amount of seriousness and humility that I ought to be given that opportunity to continue the work that I have started with this administration of World Igbo Congress, with Chikezie, of course, as our point man. I do understand the pulse of Igbo. We ought to be able to be ready. The shape of Nigeria today is that nobody really knows what is going to become of this country in the next 10 years or so. We ought to be able, just as our neighbors in the West and in the North, and even in the South, getting their act together, we ought to be able to stop these distractions and focus on the things that matter. We ought to make sure that our children get back into the classroom. This nonsense about our kids resorting to quick fixes. The strength of Igbo has always been in our scholarship and our industry. We ought to be able to make sure that the legislature enact legislations that will be friendly to Igbo traders. That is what our people do. The seaports, the tariffs, the custom and excise duties, all these undue encumbrances that burden the goods of Igbo from clearing their goods in the ports of entry. We ought to be able to ensure that these senseless killings of Igbo, every time a clown gets an issue, gets an idea, he begins to think that Igbo are fair play. We come from a stock that you don't put this kind of nonsense and get away with it. We ought to be able to find a mechanism to hold people accountable. We ought to be able to use our lawyers. I have always said that my administration of World Igbo Congress will emulate what people like Thurgood Marshall did with the Legal Defense Fund of the NAACP. We ought to be able to drag people into the courtroom and challenge issues. I still do believe that both under the Geneva Convention and under the International Court of Justice, we do have issues. The experience we endured during the Civil War, some of those issues border on crimes against humanity. We fought a civil war, yes. But let nobody think that we were extended any courtesy or any favor by us surviving. We all survived by providence. It was God's design that we all survived. And of course, He facilitated it through the help of people like Reverend Dr. Husler, the former chairman of the Caritas organization, who is celebrating his 90th birthday, as a matter of fact, on the 7th of July. And I have been sending these mails asking that people send him an electronic happy birthday. So these are the people, through the good work of God, that made it possible for us to endure that experience. But there were people who persecuted our war and wanted to exterminate us as a people. There is no statute of limitation on homicide. We ought to be able to flesh out some of these issues and jump into the courtroom with some of these people and demand reparation for some of the experiences we endured during the Civil War. The experience our people have continued to endure with the Niger Bridge is abominable. The time is now. We can no longer continue to be pacified. Not by the Jonathan administration, not by any Nigerian government. We need the Niger Bridge renovated today. We need the second Niger Bridge built. And the Igbo governors, we ought to hold them accountable. This nonsense about people becoming public servants and becoming fat cows is a misnomer. When people want to make money, you go into business. You don't come into government and become a multimillionaire. There are certain issues with this democracy, even though I happen to subscribe to the fact that, as nascent as it is still better than what we had before, which was a military dictatorship. But I also do believe that we don't have to become 200 years of independence as America and some other countries in order to be able to get it right. We ought to hold these governors accountable. The issue, I have continued to maintain, the issue of immunity must be abrogated from the Nigerian Constitution. At the very best, the immunity clause ought to be a qualified immunity. There is nowhere on earth where any human being enjoys an absolute immunity. Not if you are in the state of a governmental official. The immunity clause, as it is today enshrined in the 1999 Constitution, pretty much portends that the governor can slash a man's head off and not answer any question for it. No human being should be endowed with such a power and such an immunity. The biggest problem we have as Igbo, we've been told by the United Nations, we've been told by different groups, is that both our language and our culture is literally evaporating. Whatever we have to do, there are people out there. There is Mazio Bonna from New York, who started Olakukumo Igbo, that is in the World Wide Web. Whatever we have to do to start teaching our culture to our children, teaching our language to our children, because at the end of the day, if our culture and our language disappears, then we are extinct as a people. And I would like to touch upon the issue of my sisters in diaspora, particularly the Umadi Igbo. World Igbo Congress in 2005 was reformed when we amended the Constitution and included the Weak Women Affairs Committee. The whole idea was to give our Igbo sisters very strong participation within the rank and file of World Igbo Congress. A lot of our sisters have served on the board of World Igbo Congress and have continued to serve. The present board we have, of course, has somebody by the name Chikezie, who is from Igbo Union Houston, and Lady Houston here, and also from Igbo People, where I happen to also be a member of. You know, these people have served and have continued to serve in World Igbo Congress. I urge our sisters to please continue to play the role that you play within the Igbo diaspora activities. Igbo, I thank you very much. Only issue, whatever issue, I have tactically left that alone, because I do know that issue, whatever issue people think that our sisters are having in Igbo is really something that they can diffuse. And I only ask my brothers who have unnecessarily meddled into that issue to please leave these sisters alone. These are very sophisticated sisters, highly educated, more diplomatic with their skills than most of us. And if we leave them alone, they will be laughing over these things. Biko Ndibo, I thank Mazi Chief Obidike Ajuluchuku. You are the true son of your father. That's all I can say. People have accused me of acknowledging you. My brother, they are right. And I make no apologies for doing that.
Thank you, sir.
You've stayed a course with us. I ask you people, Ndibo, Bikon, patronize Nigerian TV online. Nigerian TV online, if I become the chairman of World Igbo Congress, I will do a lot with it. And one day, quite frankly, Chief Obidike, you can build a Nigerian, not a Nigerian, Igbo television network, both in diaspora. If I can name my address in Igbo, na Kakuku Igbo, na Asu Igbo, na Twilu Igbo. I thank you very much. And my fellow board members and my brothers and sisters in the House of Delegates, I come to you with humility and with utmost sincerity and ask you to elect me as the next chairman of World Igbo Congress. I have the experience, I have this, the temperament, I have the skill, I have the commitment. Thank you very much.
God bless you, sir. This is Chief Obidike Ajuluchuku of NigerianTVOnline.com. Make sure that you also, if you want to Google, go to Gateway Black. That's correct. We have our own search engine called Gateway to the Black World. Until the next time, good luck, Chief Charlie Chikezie, on your candidacy for chairman of World Igbo Congress.
Thank you, sir.
Until the next time, this is Chief Obidike Ajuluchuku. Good night and stay aware.
Thank you.
So much is taking place. God bless you all.